at BB Dev Days. My name is Derek Martin, and I am a senior manager of our solutions architect team here at Blackbaud. And I'm delighted to have Marissa Landum from Zuri Group and Heather Andrews from Mississippi State University join us for a conversation on enhancing the fundraiser experience through customization. Heather, Marissa, I'm going to go ahead and get out of your way. I will monitor the chat for questions. I'll come back towards the end of your session as you're wrapping up to help you field questions from the chat and in person if there's time. But for now, I'm just going to get off the stage and let you guys present. Take it away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Give me just one moment and I will go ahead and share my screen. Make sure I can do it. All right. Here we go. All right. Looks like it's just taken its second. All right. There we go. Hopefully everyone can see it. Wonderful. Okay. So, all right. Thank you guys all for joining us this afternoon. Let me go ahead and get into our next slide for some quick introductions. So hello, everyone. I'm Marissa Landum. I'm a senior functional consultant at Zuri Group. We are a consulting firm. We work a lot with Blackbaud CRM and other products in the Blackbaud suite. And I primarily focus on Blackbaud CRM implementations. So I am working right now with Heather and all of her wonderful colleagues at Mississippi State. So I will toss it to her. Tell her to introduce herself.
I'm Heather Andrews, Director of Development Strategy here at Mississippi State. I've been in this role 9 years. Started in gift administration, processing gifts, then did some IT support. I currently have a team of 2 researchers, so we handle all of the prospect research and prospect management, as well as help with management of the fundraising team, support our vice president, our executive director, and our annual fund. And we are so excited to be going to Blackbaud CRM because we're currently on banner advancement, which I don't think is updated in about 6 years. So it's going to be good.
Yeah. So just so that everyone on the call is aware, we are in the right at the tail end, actually. It's very exciting of our implementation project. So the Mississippi State folks will be going live on Blackbaud CRM in almost exactly a month from now. We are slated to go live July 17th, which is very exciting. I know. I love that. All the hands. We're super, super excited. I'm sure for those that are on the call that have gone through a Blackbaud CRM implementation, this last month is a little crazy, a little nuts, but we're super, super excited. So all of this with a caveat that we have come up with this really cool customization that we really like. We're super excited for. We'll obviously tell you more about and dive into it. But it is still in the infancy phase. So there's, lots to explore and get feedback on from, more folks as we start to roll this out across the university. But we're very excited. So just some background on that, and I will kind of move forward here. All right. So as you can tell from our introductions, Heather and myself, neither of us are developers by trade. We're both kind of on the functional user end side of things. So I thought that one thing that would be really helpful and kind of interesting, and would love to hear your guys' feedback or questions that you have as we move into the kind of Q&A later on. But from the functional side of custom development within Blackbaud CRM, trying to think of there's things that are really important to be thinking of. So I have this slide here of kind of key considerations of things that we like to think about prior to embarking on custom development in Blackbaud CRM. So just kind of wanted to talk about that because I think it's really helpful for folks as, we're here at BB Dev Days and we're listening to all these really cool neat things that people are doing and have developed, kind of taking a step back to understand what is a good way to think about, going into one of those custom development projects, within your own teams. So we first like to think about, and things we've found and discovered from our time working together on this specific project has been really defining and understanding the need of the end users. So figuring out kind of where they are coming from and what their end goal is. So we might be speaking from a more technical perspective, and they're thinking about, their day-to-day work. And when we're creating custom solutions in Blackbaud CRM, it's really crucial to clearly define those objectives and goals. And a lot of times this means identifying the specific challenges or pain points that the organization wants to address, and then understanding the desired outcome. We've also found that it's helpful to really do some thorough analysis of existing processes and systems to identify gaps and areas for improvement. So before embarking on a customization journey, it's really helpful to do a kind of comprehensive analysis of what that existing process is, what system folks are using, if some folks are using Excel and some are using an outside database, and any other type of ways in which the end user gets to the end goal in their current state is really helpful. And then, of course, within that, defining and figuring out what those inefficiencies are in that current workflow and highlighting those areas for improvement. So I think by understanding the existing system, data structures, processes can really, really help design a solution that seamlessly integrates with your current operations, your current processes, as well as figure out ways to eliminate redundancy and create more efficiency in all of those. And then the last piece here, I think that's really helpful, and one that we found within, as we went through this journey ourselves to kind of rework how the fundraisers will use Blackbaud CRM in the future, was collaborating really closely with the key stakeholders. So first being, Heather as the, manager of this area, but also including staff members and other management to understand requirements and really understand their needs. So I think that a successful, custom solution development really heavily relies on effective collaboration with those key stakeholders. So while we might have some really great, awesome ideas of fun things that we can do and new ways that we can explore, I think it's really helpful and we found really necessary to engage with in regular communication and requirements gathering, so that we make sure that the custom solution that we have and this vision that we have in our heads really aligns with the needs and expectations of those who will be actually using it. So involving those stakeholders from the beginning and capturing their really valuable insight, understanding what their pain points are, which might be different from other folks, an end user who is putting in data entry versus someone who is a manager of that team and what they need to see. So that kind of collaborative approach really kind of fosters buy-in and increases the chances of that custom solution really being able to address the unique challenges that the organization has and the requirements of folks that are there. Yeah, I see some clapping, which is great. Yeah, I think that that's really important, is that buy-in piece, right? A lot of folks, if we come to them and say, look at this cool new thing that we have and we're expecting you to use it, and every day you're going to log in and do all these things, but they haven't been part of the process from the beginning. And so that can really pose, a big challenge for them. So I think that that's a big one in terms of how we take these custom development ideas and goals that we might have, and bringing the other folks in to make sure that they feel seen and heard and understood. All right, and I'm going to toss it back over to Heather for a bit to kind of, now we're going to dive really into this My Fundraiser Page tile customization that we've built, and Heather can kind of walk us through a bit more about this actual project that we did, what they are doing today, and kind of how that changed and put some ideas in our head of what we can do for the future.
So currently our processes are very manual. We have 22 fundraisers plus the annual giving team, and everything's on paper or in an Excel spreadsheet or in my notebook or development officer's notebook. So lots of room for error. they don't have a ton of autonomy as far as when they need something. You know, if they're traveling and they need a list, like currently they have to ask us a couple of days in advance, those kinds of things. So my goal was to, number one, make them more autonomous, not because we mind doing the work, because we're happy to help them and support them in any way we can. But, you know, sometimes a prospect cancels a visit. Well, if they're in Baton Rouge, which is 4 hours away, and they can get on their Fundraiser on the Go app and find somebody that they can go see and not basically waste a day, we want them to be able to do that. Of course, with some caveats, which I'm sure those of you that work with development officers know what I mean. You've got some that'll go a little far. So just the biggest goal was just to give them everything they needed pretty much at their fingertips, just so they don't, you know, I don't want my team to be the holdup. Like, we couldn't get to something didn't get pulled, somebody missed an email, those kinds of things. So as she said, put everything at their fingertips for My Fundraiser Page. They have custom tiles, which you'll see in a few minutes. And then they'll also have some proactive reminders that don't involve me sending an email. They'll have something on their in front of them every day if they log into the system like they're supposed to. And then again, the efficiency, they'll have what they need. And my goal with this is, you know, we go live in July, and then in 4 months, sit back down with them and say, okay, what else do we need to change? What do we need to add? What can be better for y'all? Because as Marissa said, like, we're not developers, but I'm also not a fundraiser. So the things that I think that are important for what I do in my daily work, they may need some other things on top of that. So I don't know. I think that's,
absolutely. Yeah, I think that was really the goal when we first sat down and started looking at, you know, as, again, for those that have been through the BBCRM implementation process, you know, you're sitting down in design sessions and you're thinking about what can we do for the future and how can we, you know, make this system really work for us and our users. And the first thing that Heather really said was, we want somewhere they can go and they can see all the things that they have to do. Because right now it's, you know, really scattered throughout email reminders that Heather and her team are sending, or reports that they're getting from other folks, and having somewhere that they can go and see everything that's coming up or that might be past due is going to be, you know, really helpful for them and all of their processes. So that was where we came from. And now let me go ahead and hopefully I don't have any issues showing. Give me 1 second when I log back in.
So I think to Marissa's point, she said about in the slide before, you talked about changing things up and having buy-in from your users. I mean, we did that in our first acceptance training. We had development officers come in, went through some things. They didn't like the way we had set them up to enter contacts. And so, and actually that fundraiser is one of the biggest cheerleaders for how great this is going to be, which is a huge help when you're trying to roll out something new, because people are people and sometimes they don't like change.
Absolutely. Yep. That was huge for us. We were able to actually sit down, even, you know, like I said, they haven't gone live yet on the system, but we've been able to pull in some of the key stakeholders from the fundraiser group. So the actual development officers that will be using this in the future, and get their feedback and see where this makes sense and what things don't make sense to them and all that good stuff. So hopefully everyone can see my screen okay. Should I zoom in a little bit more? Or does it seem like it's all right, Heather?
It's good.
It's good. It's good enough. It kind of makes the tiles look a little wonky, so I apologize for that, just because I've zoomed really far into my screen now. But as you can see here, right, this is my fundraiser page, so that folks, when they log into their Blackbaud CRM environment, will be able to go directly here. We're linking it to their homepage, so it's really just a login, and it's a one click to their My Fundraiser page, where they will be able to come here and see a plethora, as you can tell, of custom tiles that we've built. So I'll kind of briefly go over some of these. Some of this I have data and some I don't, because I'm just in a test environment. So I'm sure you all know how that process is. So just to kind of gonna actually focus on the bottom here, because there's some really key, really nice things that we've built into this functionality. So here you'll see there's a lot of past due information. So I have solicitations, closes, interactions. So things that folks should be working on that they might have not closed out yet in the system. So, you know, they're working on a opportunity, a solicitation. It's in a certain state. It has, you know, certain date criteria. All of that was done in the back end of the development side of things. But they're able to see right here which of those they have. So, right, past due solicitations, past due closes. I can click through, and same thing with interactions. So these are all things that they should be working on right now, that for, you know, whether it's been, you know, several days since they've been out of the office, or haven't been able to, you know, go back in and update things, they can see from a, you know, right in front of them when they log in what those things are. The other things that are really helpful too are upcoming, similarly, upcoming solicitations, closes, interactions, and then the folks at Mississippi State have some discovery call pending interactions. So those are specific to the qualifications that development officers do. So this is really nice here, right? So I can see it from just a really quick glance of what those are. I can, you know, scroll through this with my little arrow keys here. And then the also really nice thing is that I can click on, hopefully you can see that well. It's probably hard to see because I might be zoomed out, but I can actually click this hyperlink on any of these tiles that are here, and I can go, it will take me to a data list that then will show me all of them in list form, which we found was really helpful. And one of the key things as we were going through this process to gather requirements and understand what folks need is it wasn't just, I need to be able to see it, but I also want a list of them, right? The tiles are really helpful because they give that really quick, easy snippet, digestible information. And then the fundraiser can go in and click, you know, that top hyperlink, and it takes them to this list here, which like we've, you know, we have in most places in BBCRM, they can download this into Excel. So if for some reason, you know, they have a ton of these and they want to sort it their own way and, you know, print it out or something like that, right? They can do all of that from here rather than just from the tile itself. I'm going to go back really quick. I skipped down to the bottom because those are kind of the more prospect plan, opportunity type tiles that we came up with. But then at the top, and this would normally be all in one row, it's just because I'm zoomed in, but these are just kind of alerts for folks that things that they wanted to see and things that they're constantly asking for. So they're always asking Heather and her group for a list of recently deceased folks that are in their portfolio or new plans that have been added, upcoming dates. This will show things like birthdays, and if their prospects have registered for an upcoming event, you'll be able to see that here. Completed research requests. So they put in something to Heather and her team to research, and instead of having to have Heather or her group reach out via email or Teams or something like that, they're able to come in here and see that it's been completed, click on it, and get the information they need. The other one that's really nice that was, again, one that they ask for all the time is I want to see new gifts that came in from the people in my portfolio. So being able to see that here at a quick glance, and then again, being able to click into that, let me scroll back up, and seeing that in list format. So I could, you know, look at it. All of these were also built as BBCRM list builders. So, right, we have columns that are here. They can take them out. They can filter on each of these columns. So if they only ever want to see when someone gives more than $1,000, they're able to do that right here. And then maybe they're going to reach out or, you know, do something else because of knowing that that information is out there. Let me go back here. Heather, was there anything else that you wanted to share on this screen? That's kind of just a quick glance and overview. I think the meat of it is really the tiles with this quick ability to see the things that are most important to the development officers, and then being able to click in and get more detail so that they don't have to rely on your team to have to pull all of this for them and email it to them.
Yeah, I think exactly what Marissa said, that everything's in front of them. And there are some development officers that currently keep a system similar to this in Excel. So just as a way to make, just it's where it needs to be in one spot, and then everything's in one place. They're not having to sort all those things. So.
Yep, exactly.
Just like a one-stop shop, basically, for the information they ask for most often.
Yep, exactly. And like we said, this might fluctuate, this might change as folks start to use it, and we can change things around and update, the actual coding piece of it behind it. But this was really the vision of, Heather, for how the development officers can really utilize Blackbaud CRM in the most efficient way for their business and their processes that they do today. And we're super excited and hopeful that that they're going to be as excited as we are come July 17th and they start using it. But yeah, I think that's all I have for now. Yeah, go ahead.
There are some questions in the chat. Kathy asked, and I think this is for Heather, how many prospects does a fundraiser have in their portfolio?
Our average size portfolio is about 175, which is too big. That does include people that are in stewardship for gifts that they've closed, but 175, not including people that need to be identified or discovered with the term that we use. So that would be the average size.
Okay.
And then our major gift level starts at 25,000. So I don't know if anybody was wondering that.
Okay. And Terry, I saw you asked a question too, but I'm not sure I understand it. Maybe you want to rephrase that. I have a question. I mean, we talked about your gift officers. Some of them built some things for themselves in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make sure that they don't keep using Excel?
We've talked about that. I'm just hoping that this is going to be easy enough that it's all here and there's no point in them recreating the wheel. Like if they're going to go in and they're going to fill out their plan and say, I need to call Bob next week at 2:00, and they're putting that as the next step in their plan, and it's automatically populating their upcoming dates and things that they need to do. But I mean, really, I don't know that we can stop it. I just hope that they utilize this tool for them.
Okay.
And when I say build out, it's basically an Excel spreadsheet with like 27 tabs. So this has got to be easier. It's not.
Yeah, I think the hope is that, after seeing that they won't feel the need to also keep an Excel spreadsheet, right? The need for the Excel spreadsheet today is because they don't have anything that exists like this right now. So they're basically doing this for themselves, in their current state, and then in the future, it will already be here. So, but then that's also part of kind of how this morphs, and it's kind of a living, breathing, development for us, so that as, they continue to use it, they can provide feedback and let us know what works and what doesn't, and we can figure that out from there.
Terry, you rephrased your question. Thank you. Are the appearance of constituents for deceased prospects and new gift tiles based on that constituent being linked with a prospect manager assignment?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
Yep. And so what we did, so just to give you guys some more of the kind of technical background, so each of these tiles, we did a full kind of requirements gathering and discovery with Heather and folks at Mississippi State to say what, these are kind of the vision of the things we see them wanting. What is the criteria that we want to use for that? Is it, them being a prospect manager? Some of them, like the interactions and upcoming solicitations, are where the fundraiser is the primary plan manager. So it depends on each one. They're not all, completely set, but that kind of went into the requirements kind of gathering piece of creating this solution.
I think that's partly also an answer to some of my question, Marissa, right? Like major gift officers had at a seat at the table when it came to requirements gathering and what the planning that went into this. So you've built a system that will work for them. Now we just got to get them to use it.
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly the hope. Yes, that was exactly the goal of involving them and getting them exposure to it from, just, in the beginning it was, hey, what do you guys think of this? And what do you guys like to get all the time? And what are you constantly looking for and asking for? And then more recently, during our user acceptance testing, having them sit down and go through it. And, it certainly wasn't the full list of all development officers at the university, but it was, a lot of them. And we got some key folks that were in there, as Heather was saying, and they were excited. So that is, I think, goes back to the hope that the Excel spreadsheets will die with the BBCRM implementation.
Yes.
Barb asks, would this be something else, or would this be something that would be available to other customers? And obviously, Marissa, the answer is yes. That Zuri works with all kinds of BBCRM customers and can repeat this kind of work with other BBCRM customers. Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Let's see. Sam asked a question. Any tips on getting leadership on board to invest and partner to make these customizations?
So I think the big thing, number one, my executive director is great, and he's definitely a pen and paper person. So there was some, it's going to be better and it's going to benefit everybody, but just the efficiency piece, like if you can enter a contact the moment that you come out of a visit, just those kinds of things to streamline the development officer's day. And if you're doing that and you're giving them more time back, they can ask more people for money. It's kind of it's a domino effect that if we can streamline some of this for them, then it frees up their time to do what we really want them to do. So.
Right. Yes. It's an old axiom, right? That if you see a major gift officer at their desk entering in contact reports, that means they're not doing their
asking
job.
For money.
They're not asking for money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry had another follow-up question. Will you be using any of the default My Fundraiser Page tabs or data lists?
Yeah,
Marissa?
there are. Yes, I can answer that. There are a few. There are some. Let me scroll down. There are a few that we will. This one that you're seeing here. This is actually another custom thing that we built, so we don't have to dive into that right now with only a few minutes left. But we will be using some of the pending activity, grants, research requests, and the prospect and plans out of the box data lists that are on the My Fundraiser page. But as you can see, right, these are only 4 that are out of the box that we are continuing, planning to use for folks, because the rest of them, we are hoping that they can find what they need in the tiles here, right? So those being able to link out to the data lists that accompany the tiles will, allow folks to get the information that they're looking for.
Great. All right. Last call for questions.
I think one popped up about something about how the tiles were created, but I couldn't read the whole thing and I don't know who asked it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even see that. How did you get the tiles on the fundraiser page? Did you use the prospect search available tile table?
That is a great question. I would have to go back. It has been quite some time since since this was done. I will say I think we probably delivered this initially in February or March, but certainly, I'm not sure who asked that because I'm having trouble seeing the chat, but feel free to reach out. I'm not sure if our contact information is shared or somewhere on our speaker profile, but feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to send that information along.
That was Lori from UNC. Thank you for the question, Lori. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and drop in the link to the session survey so that you guys can all give Heather and Marissa top marks on this session. Thank you. I love this kind of session. It's kind of how the sausage is made sort of session.
Yeah,
so thank you for walking us through this detail. And you guys are great presenters. So thank you for that. And folks, again, please do submit the session survey, and thank you for attending the session.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much. It was so wonderful.
Thanks.